Hey everybody, Garcia here, and today I am going to be comparing side by side the brand new printing of Factory Funner from BoardGameTables.com with the previous printing, the one I have available to me here, which is Factory Funner and Bigger from Cwali Games. Now this one, as it says over here, is a deeper box than the original printing of Factory Funner. So this should be a lot more shallow in the other printing, but this is one that they made that was available. It's a very good printing of the game. And I'll be, like I said, comparing side by side the looks, the included components, and just give you a general idea of what I think of this new one compared to this previous one. This is identical to the one I personally own. This is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's a wonderful puzzly game. And this brand new one, there's a lot of things to like about it. So starting from the very first thing, and one of the things I like the least about it, in fact, is the box size. This is a much smaller box than this printing right here. I might even go as far as to say it's about half the size, or nearly half the size, which means there's going to be some Tetrising of the pieces to get them back in here, because the quantity of pieces is about the same. So that's a little problematic. I think this box could stand to be a little bit bigger, give the players a little more wiggle room to put their game away, and not have to bag things in very strategic shapes in order to fit it all back in the box and get the lid closed completely. So that's one of the big ones, okay? And that certainly is a knock against this new one. If you, again, like me, are someone who hates having to take a lot of care to put the game away, being very careful where everything goes. So, having said that, the look would be the next thing, and you're going to see this sort of aesthetic spill over onto a lot of the other components. This new one here is quite cartoony. I think it's wonderful artwork. I really like the look, the playful nature of the whole thing. This previous one here, also, of course, very cartoony, but it's a completely different aesthetic. This one looks computer-generated in many ways, and a lot of the tiles will feel that way. This one feels warmer and hand-drawn. So, that's the boxes. Let's check out the factory floors you'll be playing on. This is the older printing of the game, and as you can see here, you got the factory floor with a nice sort of scuffed up cement floor. You've got a space over here to keep each of your reservoirs so that you have them right there on your board, and then a space down here for these three tubs, I guess they are, or I don't know what they are. They catch the product, okay? Another thing I like about these is on the back of all of these, it tells you one per player as a little reminder, extra reminder, besides the fact that you put one there. And then these, same thing, they'll say 3 per player, so that you know you're supposed to have 3 of these, even though it says it right there as well. So very good. There's a little detail over here on the side with a couch and some filing cabinets, adding to the atmosphere that this is a factory. And then this would be a pillar in the factory floor, and it is not passable. You cannot run piping through it. You cannot cover it at all. You have to, avoid that space, basically, or go around it. So there you go. That's the previous printing. Like I said, we're going to push that down, take a look at our new one. Unfortunately, it does have basically the same color as my cover here from Rathskellers. It's about the same shade, so hopefully you can see that okay. But it is, yes, that darker hue, that hunter green. There's a little bit of detail here on the outside. It's fairly minimalistic in this one, but it fits the vibe of what's going on. And of course, since the board is smaller, no place to keep your reservoirs, and no place to keep your 3 tub-looking things here. But the artwork on these is a lot more detailed. It's very cartoony, and they function the same way. One thing I thought was interesting, comparing these side by side, I could have sworn that the new tiles were slightly smaller than the previous ones. They're not. I had a little bit of an optical illusion with that. But they're actually the same size tiles. The board is simply smaller because they've cut off that side that holds everything. And, on the other side, the artwork's a little, maybe a little smaller, right? So a little truncated maybe, but same space, same idea there. So those are the boards. This is the pillar in the middle. Same thing, just now with actual artwork as opposed to just a black hole there. And then on the other side of these boards, you have, as you did in the previous printing, a different shape in order to make the game a little more difficult. So we've got this on this side here. Very nice, great artwork. I love the black and white on that. And then over on this one, more of these black pillars. Slightly different configuration, right? And there will be several of these boards that have different configurations and will change up where and how you can build. So there you go, that's the boards, and that's some of the pieces the players will start with. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the machines included in the game, what you're going to be building in here. These are 3 pairs of tiles that are the same identical tile in both versions. Of course, you can immediately tell which one is which. So we've got across the top here, and they do have names, the Max X Boiler, this Freedomizer, and the Super Sealer there. You'll notice they have a cost, and these are always in the center on these. And I like that. I like the uniformity of that. They will always be in the center or very close to the center. The previous ones, it was somewhere on the tile, the income you would get for that tile. And then we've got, of course, the inputs and the outputs. They keep the idea that an input is a dot and an output is a number. Fantastic. That makes it a lot easier to understand what's going on. And then besides that, there's some hints as to what's an in and what's an out, right? So you'll see here on the previous printing, you have this striped pattern below the pipe to let you know it sort of simulates an arrow or a flow coming in on these and going out. These actually have sort of an arrow-capped shape to the end of the piping. You'll see it over here on these 3. You'll see it on these 2 over here. This one over here has an output which is the black end product. You just catch that, and that doesn't feed into any other machine. And same thing over on this one. Now, the big takeaway here for me, I think both of them are quite functional. The new ones, slightly more so because of the number location, and that number really just pops. The white number in the black background, I think really can read well. The name's a little harder to see, but it's really just flavor text, right? The main thing is the artwork here. And they both, like I said earlier, have a very different design and aesthetic philosophy. This is the best place to see that. These previous ones look a little bit computer generated. They are clearly being seen from directly on top. There's no isometric view on these, and they just look very sci-fi and abstract. I'm not sure what I'm looking at a lot of the time. This one is some sort of vat of lava or something, and piping and whatnot's going on right there. This one's a little cheeky with the wings, the freedom wings there, and a couple of articulated arms. And then some arrows over here. I don't know what's going on. Again, these are cartoony. This one you can clearly see a vat there with the colors mixing in, a big X on the outside. So you'll see that there's just things you can recognize on these. This one has a literal seal, like the animal, the aquatic animal, on top of it right there. It's very cute, cheeky, and silly. And so this artwork up here has just tons more personality to it. And I like that a lot. I think that's a big difference between the two. This previous printing with these tiles is quite functional, especially coming off of the original game, Factory Fun. Factory Funner made these much more functional. But this keeps the functionality and adds personality. And that's one thing I very much like about the new printing and the new tiles in the game. I'm going to talk a little bit about the rulebooks between the two versions, and that's going to do it. Here we've got the rulebooks side by side, and one thing that was very apparent right away was that the new rulebook here is very succinct. It does not go into a lot of fluffy text or repetition in order to get its point across. In fact, I would think that perhaps some people who have not played the game and maybe haven't played a game like it might have a little trouble with this new one. So we're going to take a look at that. So you've got the intro here with the setup right there, an image of everything that comes in it, which is nice, and then This, with a lot of examples right here, turn breakdown, selection phase, connection phase, bookkeeping, and then in the back over here, game end, this tiny little piece right here, solo mode, no speed variant, and another explanation of what's going on. So it's quite truncated in some ways. If you know the game well, I think you're not going to have a problem. If you don't, it might take a couple of fine comb, readings so that you can figure it out with a fine-tooth comb. Now this one, the previous one, is a lot roomier. It's still, this is a big rulebook because it's a lot of languages, not that many more pages, but it gives you this breakdown here in the beginning, a little bit of building your factory, things that are legal and not legal, some examples here. Taking a machine first or last gets its whole new section there, the costs, the revenue with a write-up there. Over here we've got then bookkeeping, gets a little bit of a bigger area with included examples, big image of the entire thing and what you're looking for to score bonuses at the end. And then over here, the back of the factories, solo, optional things down here. So, and then again, we go on to another language after that. So it's a little roomier, not by much, but the rulebook is smaller in the new one. And it does seem like this one takes a little more care to walk you through the different parts of the game. I don't know how much tougher this new one will be to figure out. I know the game already. So for me, reading it was more of a refresher than a brand new learning of the game. But I think a little more to it might have been helpful to give you more of a walkthrough, to help you understand what you should be looking for, what you not just can do or and cannot do, but how you can tackle those things. This one seems to worry about that a little bit more, okay? So there you go. We started with a negative box size. We're ending with a meh in rulebook. Everything in the middle was very strong. Very good look to the game. Great production quality to the game. Colors are vibrant, cartoony, effective, and I think this is a winner right here. So there you go. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what these two look like, especially side by side, just in case you are familiar with the Factory Funner and Bigger edition here, or simply one of the previous printings, so you can see whether maybe this is something you want to pick up and upgrade to, or if you've never played either one, just to see what kind of look and component quality you are going to be getting in this new one. So that's going to do it, everybody. Thanks very much for checking this out with me. That's been Factory Funner. My name is Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.